The Kakhovka Hydroelectric Power Plant is in the city of Nova Kakhovka in Ukraine's Kherson region, which is currently under Russian occupation. It was built in the Soviet era and is one of 6 dams that sit along the Dnipro River, which stretches all the way from the very north of the country into the sea in the south. It's massive and locals call it the Kakhovka Sea as you cannot see the other bank in certain places. So, what happened? Well, it's not 100% certain exactly how the dam wall came down, but it had appeared to have been damaged over a period of time and finally failed. Given the state of the war and the dam's location to it, regular maintenance and observation had been difficult to near impossible. Ukraine's military and Nato have accused Russia of blowing up the dam, while Russia has blamed Ukraine. Thousands of people are being evacuated from communities in the surrounding areas, with fears that any flooding could be catastrophic, especially as it's estimated that there are roughly 16,000 people in the danger zone. Ukrainian hydropower dam operator Kakhovka Hydroelectric said the station was fully destroyed and could not be restored. As expected, the river has also been contaminated with 150 tons of industrial lubricant and another 300 tons was at risk of leaking and more contaminants are expected. Who took out the dam? As mentioned, both sides are blaming each other. So, let's start with Russia. Historically, Russia gave birth to the use of a scorched earth policy to delay and deprive the German army during World War II, when they burnt vast amounts of agricultural land and infrastructure. It stands to reason, with a very plausible advance on the horizon by the Ukrainians, that flooding the region would help to delay and/or even deny the attack, giving the Russian forces time to withdraw or to prepare additional defenses. The dam wall also served as a bridge, so it would have made a perfect way to cross the Dnipro. Now any form of Ukrainian attack will have to be waterborne, which of course could prove problematic. The dam holds back a vast reservoir that supplies water to a host of communities upstream. Farmers rely on the water to grow their crops, and the breach could impact tens of thousands of people if it recedes far enough, causing untold suffering to the Ukrainian population. This of course is nothing new to the Russian formations, who have meted out huge amounts of suffering on the local population ever since the start of this war. Then of course there is form. Russia has previously carried out several attacks on dams throughout Ukraine since the invasion, causing widespread flooding and disrupting power supplies. We need to remember that the Russians are currently in Ukraine and have no reason to restrain themselves if they should so desire, so flooding the country, depriving the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant of water and risking a particular nuclear disaster would all occur on Ukrainian soil, a problem that could conceivably be left behind when they withdraw. But most importantly, and the overriding thing pointing at this being Russian, is that it's a false flag operation to give Russia a reason to leave Crimea and thereby save face. We had to go. Ukraine had cut off our water and people were starting to die. It's no secret that the liberation of Crimea has been a key goal of the Ukrainian authorities. Perhaps the Russians have found the position untenable and an escape route was needed. This point dovetails into why Ukraine would take out the dam, to deny water supplies to Crimea and to perhaps force a withdrawal or a surrender when pressed by an assault. I consider this doubtful, as they would still need to proceed across the Dnipro before even getting to Crimea, and that could create an undeniable risk to an extremely important operation before they have even contacted the enemy. The Ukrainians do have form on this tactic, having previously blocked the channels feeding water to Crimea. But apart from that, Russian millbloggers have been posting videos of Russian soldiers claiming responsibility all day, and that would make sense, as I personally do not think Ukraine would inflict this upon themselves. This level of damage and destruction just does not make sense, and unlike the Russians, they are fighting on their own soil and ever scar, and stain will be felt by them for years. This strikes me as the actions of an angry mob who decided that a destroyed Ukraine is a victory for them. They will generate as much violence and despair as they possibly can in the hope that they can walk away from the country one day with a sense of achievement, no matter how evil. If I am wrong, and that is a big if, I leave you with this. If this was a massive act of self-harm done by the Ukrainian authorities, would they ever have needed to do so if Russia had stayed out of their country and never invaded? Thank you for watching. Please drop a like and ring that bell. Your support is for free and much appreciated. Slava Ukraini.